Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Art Bros. Got me, Mike, and as always, Fancy Dave right next to me.
Hey.
And from the Art History Babes podcast, we have Jen and Ginny. What's up?
Hey guys.
Hi.
Guys, we are so happy to have you guys on this episode with us. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
And we are so excited to talk about Camille Claudel with you guys, the artist that you picked. So thank you. And guys, can you please tell me, get the viewers, let them know what's going on with this amazing person, artist, sculptor. Let the people know, please.
Yeah, just push him into the pool.
Yeah, just push him into the deep end. Let's just go all out.
Sounds good.
So Camille Claudel, French sculptor, she was really regarded as a genius among her peers and was really just not only revolutionizing just sculpture in the late 19th century in general, but also just the fact that she was a woman and typically, like, even her formal education as an artist, like, she couldn't attend the École des Beaux-Arts, which is like the formal training school in France, like where you would, become this celebrated academic artist. They would not, women were barred from an education there, so she went to a lesser school, but still had like this formal training, and she is just she has a very intricate sort of style that's also, it's at once delicate but also very rough, intense. Yeah. And it's been described as virile. So all this gendering of like her work is always just coming into play one way or another. So today we want to talk about just how things went for Camille as a female artist, how she was talked about, how she still is talked about, and in many respects she doesn't get her due because she, even after her death, has lived under the shadow of her sort of notorious affair with the artist and sculptor Auguste Rodin.
Not to be confused with the pterodactyl from the Godzilla movies.
Rodin.
I would have never made that connection. So,
Good point.
And you guys, you want to talk about this through the lens of one of her masterpieces, The Age of Maturity.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
Can you guys give us a little rundown about this specific piece real quick?
Yeah, so this is a bronze sculpture, and it's made in 3 parts, so it kind of has 3 tiers that were then joined together. It took her 5 years to make this, so it's a large piece, and understandably, it took quite a while for her to make it. So in what Jen was talking about, this relationship between Rodin and Claudel, they not only were lovers, but they also worked together. So she was sort of an apprentice for him and was also much younger than him. So she was kind of under the shadow of Rodin,
right,
who still is a huge name in art, specifically in sculpture. So she's kind of working against that. And
but she also depended on him.
Exactly.
Because of the problem of being a woman artist and trying to get funding for your work.
Right. So this is her piece trying to separate herself and really make a name for herself. And because of her relationship with Rodin and the fact that he inevitably left her for an older woman who was also his mistress, because he had multiple mistresses, that this piece is viewed as like a way of representing that. He's being led away by this kind of old crone from Camille Claudel, who is the figure leaning or kneeling towards the end of the sculpture. So
if that's true, like, that's shots fired at his mistress.
Truly, because she's represented in a really unattractive and frightening way.
Yeah. Anyway, please continue.
Looks like a sort of mythical figure almost.
Like she just emerged from the bowels of hell.
Yeah. Like a harpy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But what we want to focus on here, and I read a really interesting article by this author, Claudine Mitchell, who says basically that this isn't so much necessarily only depicting Camille's life and relationship with Rodin, but it's really more an illustration of her imaginative composition, displaying her ability to create figures and really touch upon a lot of narrative themes and the overarching theme of destiny. So yes, we can't deny that like her life wasn't integral to her work, and that things that happened in her life, such as Rodin leaving her and her really trying to separate herself from working under him and being his mistress, that of course that has an impact on her art, but this piece in particular, there's a lot more to it than that. So a little bit more on specifically what this was made for. She made this with the intent to show in a salon in France, and at the time in the 19th century, like if you had a showing at a salon and it was successful, this could really make your career. Like it could just push you to the next level. So this was her intention with this, and that's why she took so long to work on it.
Right, yeah,
And,
of course.
you know, yeah, so it's like it was like meant to be her masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like, this is me, this is not me, like Rodin's assistant, Rodin's lover, this is me, Camille Claudel, and this is my thing, my piece.
It's mine.
It is hers. And when Rodin ultimately saw the piece in 1899, at this point in the relationship, they were no longer intimate, but she still was working like with him and was in contact with him because she was
that's
reliant.
the worst.
She was reliant
Worst.
on his financial support and his ability to like pull like patronage for her.
It's like when you're living with your significant other and you guys break up. It's like I can't move out.
Exactly.
No, they do move out. Get out. So basically, after he saw the piece, he was just so like offended and angry that he not only completely ceased to support her work, you know, financially, as well as just as well as supporting her as an artist, just in general. He also tried to appeal to the Ministry of Fine Arts to get them to pool funding from her piece.
Oh,
and
right.
Commission.
Yeah, I heard that this was supposed to be originally bought by the government.
Yeah.
And then after Rodin saw it, like all of a sudden they didn't want it anymore, and it's like,
Yep.
What's going on there?
Yep.
So it went badly for her afterwards, and a big reason I think why the work is thought of so often as being like this allegory of her breakup with Rodin is also because she had a really jealous little brother. Her brother Paul Claudel considered himself the genius in the family. So he, especially after he put her in a mental institution for the rest of her life, he really pushed forward that notion that the piece was all about her breakup with Rodin.
Oh my God, what an asshole!
If you read even like the shortest biography on Camille, you are gonna get bummed out.
Oh yeah.
It's really disheartening.
There's really nothing that good to say about her life, like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, her only real supporter throughout her life was her father, who supported her artistically and, like, also financially. And, like, the minute he died, the family just put her in a mental institution.
Where she remained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
But, I mean, the thing to take away here, especially when looking at this piece, is that, you know, it's easy to just look at it simply in commentary of her own sexuality and her own interpersonal relationships. But she was really an incredibly thoughtful, intelligent, and well-read person. And this reflects in this piece because it becomes so much more than just a depiction of her own life, but really kind of more of the three stages of life. I mean, you can see on the sculpture itself, it's set in three distinct tiers, and how it's not so much simply Rodin and his old mistress and Camille, but it's more of like a personification of death, where you have this old crony woman with these flapping drapes that look almost like bat wings, and she's kind of moving the man into that kind of next phase of life, whereas on the bottommost tier, or really on both the middle tier and the bottom tier, is the representation of youth. So this is more kind of intellectual and narrative, and this is something that she was really trying to express with this piece, and showing not only look at what I can do in terms of sculpting bronze, but look at what kind of emotion and effect and kind of narrative connections I can put into this piece. So that's something that we just kind of wanted to highlight on here, and showing that she really was an intellectual artist.
Yeah, I definitely get that, dude. When you take out Rodin out of the equation, you get this piece, like you just said, the 3 levels of life, and it just having, for me, the takeaway I get from this, the thing that really stays with me, is how the man is just barely let go from youth, and it's kind of like, it's just the way, like, everyone feels like when they're about to, like, graduate college, wink wink, that, like, it's like, no, I don't want to be an adult, I want to hold on to my youth, I don't want to take that next step, but, like, he's kind of being, like, for lack of a better word, seduced, or, you know, kind of like just coerced into that next step. He doesn't look like he wants to do it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And she doesn't want him to leave either.
Exactly. There's so much, like, minute emotion that's put into the piece, which is incredible, because it's so hard to do that in any, you know, painting or any medium, but especially in bronze, because, like, you can even see that her arms, so Youth's arms, are kind of like just starting to slacken, like she is reaching out, but she's maybe just starting to bring her arms back, where it's like, you know, I don't know if it's either acceptance or kind of hopelessness.
I think it is acceptance. I don't get a hopelessness out of the piece. I really feel like this piece is about, like, letting go, and it's like, it's very much about, like, having to concede to this natural pull of, like, where life will take you, and so I really see it as a piece of, like, acceptance, and just, like, a sort of like, it's about, like, destiny.
I think it's acceptance for both of them, you know, like both the old man and the young woman. It's just they're both accepting, like, this is just how it goes.
Circle of life.
If I could just, like, bring, like, a comparison real quick, the first thing I thought of once I stripped Rodin out of this was Thomas Cole's Voyage of Life, like Old Age, where you have the man, I don't know if you guys remember it, but you have the man on the boat, and the angel comes down and has, like, he's, like, ready to accept the old man, I guess, into death or into heaven, but, like, it's kind of like, it's like taking that emotion where it was like, all my hard work led to this moment, I can, like, finally die in peace. Yeah. And it's kind of, like, different here. It's like taking that and turning on its head, and it's it's fantastic for me.
It is. And I mean, just the amount of attention she put into symbolism, narrative symbolism, emotional symbolism, and all of this, you know, the 3 phases of life, and just kind of the inevitability of life and life cycles is really, really striking. And we have a lot of respect for it. So it's, you know, it's not an easy thing to visually represent or even communicate verbally. So.
Like even keeping with that theme, I'm just thinking in terms of pure visual aesthetics. Just that fact of moving on to that next step. I like that the piece itself actually looks like it's moving towards one direction too.
Exactly. And I mean, even at the very leftmost end of the sculpture, it kind of curls in almost like the wave of an ocean. So you kind of have this feeling of, like, the ebb and flow and the changing of the tides, and kind of that inevitability of the passage of time.
And, like, the futility of trying to fight against it, or like hold on to that which is being, like, led away. Right.
Damn.
So,
and I see that as, like,
emotional.
It's so emotional, and I actually read that curve as, like, she is taking him to the end, which is the end of everything, the end of his life. And, Yeah, just and to, you know, honestly, I didn't mean it for this pun, but to the end of this episode.
Wow.
Great. I'm gonna slap you, Mike.
So, guys, before we go, just, like, what is your what do you want? Like, you already said it before, but, like, just your final thoughts on this thing. What do you really want people to just take away from Camille and her and this beautiful piece?
I think just the takeaway is to really try and appreciate her as an independent artist. And as fascinating as the kind of dramatic biographies can be of artists, in this case, I think it's so valuable and well-deserved to Camille to look at this as a representation of all of her skills, both with her hands and her own craft, but also her intellectual and emotional, like, kind of expression.
Yeah, I would like for people to try to look at this piece without all of the background that we just gave you about her relationship with Rodan. If that's, at all possible, a suspension of disbelief. I think that Camille was very obviously a amazing artist and must have been a very charismatic, interesting woman in her life.
Yeah.
So
You have to be just
to make it
just
in that
to
sort
produce,
of society.
and just to
Yeah,
produce something of
especially
this
for
caliber,
time.
even.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And honestly, I do believe that the content and the merit of her work will be more emphasized than the relationship she had with Rodan, and I truly believe that.
And hopefully, this episode might help you think in that direction.
Yeah. So,
For sure.
thank you guys for being on the episode here with us.
Thank
for having
you.
us.
So anyone who hasn't already checked out the Art History Babes podcast, check it out. They are hilarious. They are really smart, as you just saw. They know how to explain art extremely well. And just go in the description, check out their show.
I think you really should.
And also, if you guys haven't already, subscribe to our show, please. And we'll continue to make amazing episodes like these and bring on amazing guests such as the Art History Babes. Check out our social media. It's down there on the description too. And we will see you guys next time. From Mike, Dave, and the Art History Babes, see you next time.
Ciao.
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 Ciao, ciao, ciao.